Alright, today I got you guys the GVM RGB 150S. Thanks to GVM, this video is made possible. There it is right here. Whether you're new to my channel or not, every single other video that you see, I try to describe in detail the best that I can do, and a little bit different than other YouTubers are saying about, for example, this particular product. Why make a video saying the same exact things? So I'm not going to be going here through CRI and all the technical stuff here. I'm just going to show you a few things that you don't see on YouTube regarding this light. And look, if I don't like the light, I won't bother setting up studio lights, and this takes a lot of time, energy, and my effort to do this. So besides the RGB stuff, if you're looking for regular lights, 5500 Kelvin or tungsten, you can use the existing LEDs or tungsten light that you guys already have. But this one here is primarily focused on RGB, and to me, I was very surprised to see how good the light is. The biggest advantage that I see if you get a RGB dedicated LED light is because you no longer will have a problem with overheating. It doesn't matter if the light has a fan. Every time I attach a honeycomb grip here or some kind of a sock here or even a gel, you're preventing the light, the air from escaping, okay? So this will raise the temperature considerably. And this is never good for the longevity of the LED bulb itself, because as soon as it gets super hot inside, this part of the light here keeps cool, but when you put a reflector with something blocking it here, you're actually making this very hot, especially high power lights. So let's talk about fan noise here. I have two Godox SL60W on the back, throwing some blue on the white backdrop. I have a light above me that has no fan. I have a Jinbei EF200 right here, which the fan has been modified. It's still noisy because I can't have a fan that has a low RPM because it's going to overheat the light, but it's a lot louder than that. And also dealing with the fan here. So we're talking about 1 fan, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm going to be quiet here for a second, and don't forget that you also hear the Jinbei fan and the 2 Godox fans and this fan. So as you can see, all these fans together, you still can clean up the audio, but every time that I do an interview or anything, I don't need to clean the audio because the microphones that I use, where they are pointing at, I never need to filter anything in post-production. I don't care what light I'm using. It can be a noisy light or a silent light. And also this microphone is pointed towards this way. If I turn the microphone that way, away from this light, because I'm shooting with the super cardioid microphone, which rejects very well sounds from the side and behind, right? So if I turn the microphone right this way and turn off the Jinbei light and the Godox, as a matter of fact, I'm going to do this right now. Okay, so right now the only fan that you hear that's on is this light right here. And this mic is less than 4 feet away from this fan, and it's pointing at my mouth that direction. So it is actually pointing directly at the fan. I'm gonna turn the microphone that way to reject the sound. And another thing, it is not usual for you to record an interview with the light 2 feet from your face like this, right? So this happens to be here just for demonstrating how beautiful the product is. So I'm gonna be turning the microphone that way, and I'm gonna speak on it and see how much sound is gonna decrease. Okay, so the microphone now is this way. See how much of a huge improvement in fan noise I already got. Put the mic back here. So every time you're doing video work with this particular light or any light that has a fan, okay, but in this review we're discussing this fan primarily, you have to keep a certain distance, put the light away on a proper distance, and then have the proper microphone that rejects sounding coming from the sides and from the back, and you have no problems with fan noise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 feet away. Do you hear anything? That shouldn't be a problem at all. So if you bring this light very close to the microphone, of course you're going to pick up a lot of noise with any fan, okay? I don't care what fan that is. When you have the microphone right here on top of the light, but that's not how you use a light. So this is how you should work with a light, and there you go. There's no noise, there's no need to filter anything in post-production, there's no noise to remove. So I'm going to be quiet again here. The microphone is pointing at this direction. Now when you take it close to the light, the whole thing changes, right? You hear this. But who is going to record an interview that way, right? Or even from here, 3 feet away. You turn the microphone the opposite side. Just by turning the microphone in the opposite direction for sound rejection, and then all the way here again. Now let me show you some modifications that I did here. I did not alter the product in any way inside. So what I did here, I added a some kind of a foam. You can install anything similar here so you don't scratch your ballast against the stand. And under here I used a Shure tape, it's spelled S-H-U-R tape, that you only find at Lowe's. Home Depot doesn't have this particular tape here. This is a double-sided carpet tape that you can actually put it here. If you need to take it out, it doesn't damage the unit in any way. And also I bought from Amazon this set of Velcros here. It's about 1.5 inch Velcros for about $8 if I remember correctly. And you also need to install a Velcro here like that, so the Velcro attaches to the other Velcro. And every time I want to mount this ballast here so it doesn't dangle, because I do not recommend doing this, all you gotta do is to mount it over here, hold it with something like that here. You gotta do real tight. There you go. And the other Velcro right here. So you can also do up and down. So every time you move the stand, it's going to be like that. It's not going to be dangling. You know, it's just like common sense. You know, if you have a problem with this ballast here, I already got a solution for you. Another very easy solution here. A lot of people complain about this cord being very short, which indeed it is. You got, what, I don't know, 3 feet, right? All you gotta do is find any XLR cable that you probably already have, audio cable, okay? And the gauge is very thick. And by the way, this light is only 35 volts. So you're not even talking about high electricity. You just disconnect the XLR here, plug this thing here and back to the ballast, and there you go. You have, I don't know, 10 foot longer, 15, 25 foot long, you know, cable. So if you want to put the ballast all the way over there, or a very tall light stand, problem solved. For like what, $8, $12, you already got problem solved here. The ballast dangles, problem solved again. Simple things like that is very easy to take care of a solution. For a light that's under $500 that does RGB, daylight, and all kinds of things, I think is a great buy. So don't let the little things bother you. So the knob here, I find it to be very comfortable handling it, and it's not gonna break anytime soon, at least not with me, because I am a pretty careful person, but the knobs, they feel very sturdy. And I also like the fact that it doesn't only have one, but two knobs for stability when you are, you know, doing this with the light. So you can actually put a very heavy softbox here. I tried a 55-inch parabolic softbox, the one that's very deep as well, which is very heavy. I think this thing weighs about 6 or 7 pounds. And the yoke didn't want to tilt forward like that. It kept strong, and when you tighten this well, you don't need to over tighten. It will hold the box in any angle or position that you want. So far we're resuming the problem with the cord being too short, problem solved. The ballast keeps hanging, problem solved. Another thing that I like about the light, there's no rattling. I'm gonna show you. It doesn't rattle, which is great. So when you move the light around, the client's not gonna be, hey, what's that? You know, so it kind of makes it sound cheap, right? When this reflectors, they rattle all over the place. Some Godox lights, they make this noise, and I don't like it. Another thing that people complain about is they're complaining about this is not a true Fresnel. Of course it's not a true Fresnel. For like $469 plus the Fresnel, what do you expect, right? Most of the things you're going to be using with this spot here, probably a drum set or a guitar player. So if you plan to project a perfect circle in the wall, This light I don't think it's gonna do. You can try with the honeycomb grid here or whatever, but I particularly don't need a perfect circle. If you need a perfect circle, you gotta spend a little bit more money with a true Fresnel. But to me, for most things that I want to do, highlight something or even in the background there, the way it is, I like the fact that I can actually make the light narrower so it doesn't spill when I don't want it to spill. And I think this is what they intended this light to be, and this is a nice feature that they put here that doesn't cost a lot of money, and it feels very sturdy, this mechanism here. It doesn't feel like it's gonna break. So overall, the whole light to me is pretty well made, and the whole thing's aluminum. People tapping on this all the time, right? And then there's a plastic here, aluminum, plastic. So like I said again, I'm using this light primarily for RGB. If I'm using 5600 Kelvin for interviews, I use my 55 lights that I already have. This is just an addition to me as a one more RGB to take it somewhere or film in the studio here. Also, you're gonna see on YouTube some people complaining about some things with the back of the unit here. These knobs here, they are not cheap at all. Just this minus and plus for the DMX control here, that they feel a little bit flimsy, but these buttons here, every single step here that I do when I turn these knobs, they are very solid. They don't play. They're not flimsy. There's no play on the buttons. So I'm not sure what people are talking about. This one is a little flimsy, I agree, but not these. So the knobs and yoke, nothing squeaks when you turn. So the XLR power here, the maximum tilt of this light is about 170, 165 degrees because this is going to be caught on the yoke. And even after you put the extension XLR, still the same problem because the wire is going to be in the way. But the light does tilt almost all the way to 170 degrees. But, you know, so you can't tilt the light 180 degrees. To disconnect the cable, just press it here and take it out, straight out. And to put it back in, all you gotta do is plug it in. Just move up a little bit, it locks. Somehow we need to do this. So to take it out, press this button and take it out straight. To put it back in, just wiggle a little bit, it locks. It's not going anywhere. So this light on the RGB side does a fantastic job, and I use it at full saturation, although you can actually tone down the intensity of the colors if you want. And also the 5600 Kelvin side of the light, which is daylight, it matches pretty well my other lights. As a matter of fact, I had a client interview here, and I decided to use this light today, a few hours ago, on this side over here, and it did a fantastic job matching my other lights.
These fees explain why most closed-end funds trade at a discount. But note also that the graph shows that the discount fluctuates.
Now the tungsten range of this light, I couldn't say I was too happy with it because I couldn't match any tungsten light, either halogen or LEDs, right? This produces a slight magenta or reddish along with a warmer yellowish or something. I couldn't match. But this light does a fantastic job on daylight, 5600 Kelvin, as RGB, also 100%, but not so much on the tungsten. And if you don't like the light, when you buy from reputable sources like Amazon and B&H, you know what you do if you don't like the product. It's that simple. So I would definitely order this light, and I think it is a very good tool, very nice tool for my to add to my toolbox in conjunction with my other lights. And in the future I'm going to be having more RGB lights because it's a trouble saver, so I don't have to suffocate my LED by putting honeycomb filters here, which increase the temperature of the light. Awesome. No more gels. I want to switch to blue, just like a little knob click away there, and it's just great. The gel, you gotta go find the damn thing, put the tape in here, so you know, I don't want to do that. So the RGB is great, and it's been a fantastic experience with this light since I opened the box. So this is something you're gonna hear all the time on YouTube, apparently. I mean, it's nice that they include the case, because just buying the case alone, you gotta find a case that fits this thing, the height, the length, the depth, and it's gonna cost you at least $100 for a decent case, no different than this. So this is what happens when people receive the product here, is because some reflectors, they get destroyed by the impact on this during shipping. So the manufacturer should stop shipping with the yoke this way, because this might raise a little bit here and hit the reflector. So I got just like a couple of little marks over here, but I was lucky that it didn't pierce my reflector or made it fold, right? So in my opinion, the manufacturer, they have to reverse this that way. There you go. Now it will look like this. So this is gonna hit this, it's gonna stop. And the yoke is gonna be on this side, there's nothing to hit. And you also can carry this bag upside down like this, that the yoke is still gonna remain here. There's nothing to kind of damage over here. Now if you put this light that way, and then what happens is a good chance that the yoke might slide that way and also hit the reflector, or the reflector is gonna rise. Just so a little hint for the manufacturer, start shipping the unit this way with the LED facing the reflector. And also this is strong enough, as you can see, this doesn't even move, okay? So this wall here is pretty good. It's not flimsy any at all. Look, it's not going anywhere, okay? So in my opinion, they still should make, they should put a strong piece of cardboard here in between the reflector and the light, and also not shipping the yoke facing this way. Facing that way, nothing happens. And also these pockets here, everything is separate. The power supply goes here, the wiring and cabling goes right here, and it's strong enough. The Velcro is super strong, and this is about 1/2 inch thick, this case, and also 1/2 inch thick on top. So this is not going to survive on airplane travel, but for transporting your gear in a car, this is plenty good. And again, to find a case like this is going to cost you at least $100, and the whole light is less than $500. To me, I think that's a nice deal, everything. People saying these reflectors, they bend easily. I don't care what brand it is, Aperture, Godox, whatever. They all made of the same aluminum, the same exact thickness. So these reflectors, they cost only $10, $12. So be careful with them. You're going to be having a reflector for a long time. It's that simple. Just treat your gear with some minimum of care. You'll be having equipment that lasts for a long time. The safety wire here, this is something that I'll never use, but they include it here as well. And this pocket here also have enough room for you to put your extension XLR cable for the power supply, and also your power cord. And the ballast goes right here. Best way to mount this light is fully vertical. Then you put it right here, hold it with this tighten, and then you do this. Tighten here, then you turn. So for the purpose of this video here, I'm using an okay little flimsy little stand here, but I don't recommend you doing so because of the weight of the light. Same way you don't want to use with your Aperture 300 or the Generate Powerhouse, okay? Otherwise, my other stands will cause the light to be out of the frame because it will be too tall. So I'm using this little flimsy stand here so it stays in frame, okay? It's also nice to include this little Fresnel kind of thing. I mean, it does pretty decent job. It's better than nothing. So this actually feels very, very solid. I don't think this is gonna break anytime soon. So the screw here, I can see why they came up with this design is because of this, right? So usually the LED lights, the actual pin is on a side and this one is on the top. So usually the pin is right here. Instead of this way, it's that way, right? So there's no way to put the pin coming from that way because, again, it's impossible due to the design. So the screw is fine, but the only thing that I find a little bit annoying is that when I remove the reflector, when I'm about to remove it, I don't know how much of the screw still remains in, so this thing will be able to freely pass, so you can actually detach, right? So you have to kind of screw almost all the way out. And when you put the reflector here, it has already a mechanism to click on it. So the reflector is not going anywhere. This is just another safety thing here. So there's nothing to tighten here. The only thing the screw does is to prevent the thing from rotating and collapsing. So there's nothing to tighten down here. You just turn it. You don't even need to screw all the way in. But you know, if you want to, once it stops, let go. There's nothing to tighten. So keep that in mind. Now to remove this, that's the part that I'm not too crazy about because I don't know if I still have room to turn this off or to rotate this out or whatever you want to call it. So that's the only thing. But the screw is fine. You can even screw it this way here or that way. And right now I am at the 5600 Kelvin mode, which is perfect to use with any other lights that you already have. And then here's your RGB at full saturation. Then you change the colors and everything. So people say, oh, it jumps. Yes, it jumps because when you change from 100% red, 100% green, and 100% blue, all the little LEDs are going to turn off, and only the red ones remain, only the blue or green remains. And also when it changes to daylight only, all these RGB LEDs is going to shut off, and then only the daylight LED is going to come on. So you're not going to be changing color temperatures and here in the middle of the shot, are you? So I don't see that that being the problem, because once you shoot, why would you do that? If you want to do this, you use a DMX right here. Then you can do that. But as far as the jump goes, I mean, it is what it is. That doesn't bother me at all. So here's the RGB part, and I was very careful to show you guys the most beautiful and proper exposure and intensity of the light projecting the colors on the background here. So at 0, it starts with the red, and then one single turn, you start to change to the orange thing. And then occasionally you're going to see some jumps because it means the LED lights are changing to green only or blue only or red only. At least this is the way this lights works. And let's go. I'm doing one by one. Then start to change to green. And then solid green. See, I'm going to go back one click. Not so green. And then boom. Solid green. And then continuing. That's a little cyan, until it jumps to a solid blue, which means all the LED lights are going to turn off. Boom, right there. See that? This is like all the lights combining with the blue. So you have this heel, right? And then blue only, or purple, whatever you want to call it. And then continuing, goes to magenta, kind of a magenta, and then boom again, look. Boom, magenta. And then jumps to red. Okay, now let's set to saturation mode. I'm at 10% intensity with the light about 5 feet from the background. Saturation at 95%. It's a big difference between 90. This 5% is huge, super red, and then one little click is like that, and then you keep turning it down and then start to change to some other colors. But just so you know, the saturation here pretty much is only like valid for like between 100 and 95, and then it gradually changes like that. But you know, so from 95, boom, this applies to every color, just so you know. Click once again, you are at the daylight. So when you switch to the daylight tungsten thing, you don't have to worry about the hue, intensity, okay? It automatically cancels everything out, so you don't need to come back to this display here, okay? So when you go to the tungsten or daylight mode, you're good. The only thing you have to worry is about the intensity and the color temperature. So 5600 is spot on. So using the 5600 Kelvin is perfect. You can use this with the aperture combined and the Godox, Generate, whatever you like. So all the lights are off right now, except the ceiling light and the GVM. So this is the light, obviously, from the GVM projecting in the wall here on the white backdrop, and that's the light. So as far as matching this EcoSmart here, which these lights are nothing close to the actual accuracy, right? So it says 3000 Kelvin. Let's see how this light will match with a consumer regular Home Depot those lights. So apparently it's doing a good job. I've set to 3000 Kelvin. Let's see, maybe 2700. I can't really tell because my monitor is kind of small, but it's fairly close. And 3500, a little cooler. Yes, I don't know, it looks okay. Because with my eye, I'm seeing like a slight warm, little creamy color with a magenta, and over there is just like yellow, you know, so I can't tell. On a camera, it looks okay, but to my eye, it's completely off, you know. Now, when you go back to the 5600, and then you turn this light on F5600, I mean, it's okay. It's the same thing here. So just on the tungsten side is a little bit weird. So the next test that I'm doing here at 5600 Kelvin is using the Godox SL60W, which is the light that everyone has, even the president has this light. So I'm gonna be using the CTO correction to orange, something on more on a professional level. These gels are from Roscoe, from B&H. Now I'm gonna switch this light to 3000 Kelvin and see what's up. And also reduce the intensity here to expose this properly to the best of my ability. It should look decent. So this is the GVM and that's the Godox right there, okay? So in my eye, this appears right on the Godox. Now the GVM, the tungsten light is a little bit all over the place. I see a little bit of a warm cream color with some pink, or it's not magenta, it's some, like, I don't know, it's warm and reddish and magenta. So to me it's completely off, but on camera it doesn't look that bad. I don't know, but to my eye this is like nothing to do with the tungsten lighting. And the 2000 degrees is just a little bonus orange, you know, which you can also use for effects light. But for accuracy, only the 5600 Kelvin you can use, okay? Otherwise, anything below this number besides the RGB is just for effects. And then when you click back on RGB, it goes back to that beautiful stuff, you know, the beautiful red and you know. So okay, so this light is great, but don't use the tungsten mode if you're trying to do anything serious with it, because this is just for effects. And this is what I'm gonna be using this light only for, RGB, nothing else. Otherwise I have my generate lighting, my Godox lighting, my Jinbei lighting, everything that I need. And that's pretty much it for this section here. So a quick demonstration of the back of the unit. Obviously this is the power button, which you don't need to press and hold. You just tap, the unit turns on. And this is the brightness control from 5% increments all the way to 100%. You can respond very quickly or very slow by each click, like that. And these two buttons, when you turn, it feels very nice, very solid. They don't play or anything like that, according to some other people on YouTube saying these buttons are all cheap. I disagree, except this one here. When you tilt the light up, these buttons, they kind of mount a little bit because they're kind of loose a little bit, but it doesn't interfere with operation. These are the channels from 1 to 11. There you go. So when you tilt the light, I'll show you. This is what happened. They kind of they do this here. Okay, so that's all it is. But every other button here, everything is solid. The power button is solid, the mode button is solid, and everything is solid. So this button here controls the brightness. This one you access 3 panels. When you tap, that's when you access the RGB. Tap once again, you access the saturation thing right here. And this button is only for or this knob is only for brightness. Sorry. And then tap one more. You go to the daylight, to tungsten, to the orange as well. Okay, so again, the tungsten daylight, press one more, you go to the RGB mode, press once again, you are at the saturation from the RGB. Okay, tap once again, goes back to the same thing. The mode button, you have the DMX control, press the mode button again, you have the rotate, I'm not sure what that is, and the slave, if you want to connect to the DMX, I suppose. And I always leave a master because I only have one of these lights. Now before you remove this XLR here, you press and hold, and then remove it straight. To plug it in, do this. Plug it in first, and then a little upwards click, it helps click. So once you hear that click, it's not coming out. You know, so I found the best way to plug this in here. Like this is not good enough. Just to yank it a little bit, it locks. So if we happen to have a very tall stand, a lot of people find this cord here very short, which is only like, I don't know, 4 feet or something. So if you do mount your ballast right on a light stand the way I did it with the Velcro, you can actually have plenty of height, a decent height on the normal applications with this cable alone. If you need more height, no problem. This is a standard XLR, 3-prong XLR. All you have to do is grab any of your audio XLR cables, and then you connect it here, and then you connect this thing right here, and suddenly for $8 or so you have a huge 20-foot cable if you like. Don't go anything past 15-20 feet because voltage drops, because the shorter the run the better, you know. So but if you need like 10 foot, 15 feet, no problem. And it's the same procedure, just like the original XLR cable here. So problem solved on that one. And mounting the ballast on the stand is very easy. Another problem solved, so you don't hang your power supply. And other than that, you got yourself a very nice little light here. It looks professional, looks quite pretty, you know. So plus the little bonus here. Again, it's not a true Fresnel, but hey, it's better than nothing. A light at this price here, I'm pretty happy with this. So the only issue that I see with this light here, which doesn't bother me, is if you're lighting a wall with this and you need a perfect little circle, and your other existing lights, which I'm sure you have an aperture already or whatever, Generate, Godox, okay? So this light here, you're probably going to be lighting up a drummer or a bass player or anything like a object, a hair. That doesn't matter. If it is square, triangle, you know, that doesn't matter. Only if it is lighting a wall, you're going to have a problem with this little square shape here. Other than that, no big deal, because the light is going to look awesome at the full spot in somebody's hair or a drum or particular symbol, okay? That doesn't show the shape of the thing in there, okay? This is just like a yapping, complaining about a light that's less than $470. It doesn't matter if the thing is square, rectangular, diamond shape, it doesn't matter. It's going to provide a nice, beautiful spot. The light doesn't leak all over the place. Or you leave it a full flood and use the same thing, okay? So if you want to light most subjects that don't require, you're not going to see the light on a wall. I don't know if you agree with me, but that makes a lot of sense. If you need something perfect, then you know what to do. Get your proper Fresnel things, because if they put a Fresnel lens here, get all super fancy, this light's gonna cost over $1,000. So what I'm trying to say here is, because most people, they're looking for every single feature on an item that as if it costs like $25,000. You know, you can't have it all with a budget light. I just think that's silly that people complain about the stuff here. So if you enjoyed the video, if it was useful to you, please hit the subscribe button, the little bell thing for notifications of some more great contents like this one. And hopefully I'll be able to review many more products for you guys. And thank you very much again for watching. And please comment as well, because I reply to most of my comments in the best of my ability. And thank you again, and have a good day or a good night.